Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Young Dad Game Reviews. In this series I'm going to recount, reminisce, and review games that I grew up on, as well as when or if my son will grow up on the same games, or whether they should be avoided due to extreme violence, suggestive themes, or because the game just sucks. Next up,
God, I don't know if that was supposed to happen. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, remastered.
Ty The Tasmanian Tiger is a platforming adventure game released in 2002 and was a very fond childhood game of mine which I never actually owned myself, but I would borrow from my best friend multiple times a year. I always thought that Ty was the coolest, and adventuring through the outback was so vast and open. The game was very well done and it had so much variety.
what? I don't have my nostalgia goggles on.
Okay. To be fair, going through it again for this review, I did notice a lot of issues that show how dated this game is, and how untrained these developers were at the time, as Ty was one of their first projects. The Collectathon style gameplay does wear itself thin by the third level area, where the only reason you're looking for them is to unlock the secret level, which you're relatively sure won't be worth it by this point. Psst. It's not. But are all these issues enough to keep you from coming back to this game? Let's take the remaster version, released in 2016 for PC and in 2020 for Nintendo Switch, Xbox One, and PS4 apart, piece by piece, and find out.
But I heard about this bloke who found 300 opals.
Let's talk about the visuals. How do they look, and does the remaster benefit them in any way? First off, I miss the original Chrome intro. It added a feeling of immersion to the world. The FMVs, while still entertaining and feeling like the pilot episode to a Saturday morning cartoon show, really helped this game feel like its own thing. Then the game starts and a wave of nostalgia hits me like a boomerang to the face. The visuals do look polished with a very nice dynamic shadow effect throughout the game. However, the levels are a little too open with not much variety between them. Like, for example, these beach levels. Also, this part right here was a little strange. You can change Ty's color just by where you stand on the very first platform. More like Ty the Chameleon Clagger, if you know what I mean. The graphics are good for a 2002 game, and there is a nice color variety. Except for the snow levels where it's pretty much nothing but white and blue with a little bit of brown, but then that's topped off with more white and blue. And I feel the remastered edition missed out a little bit. They could have gone a little bit farther than just making the game look sharper, and instead add a bit more color and detail to some of the locations and enemies. For example, what's that? A poop in the water? No, that's just an eel. What's that? A poop with claws? No, it's just a crab. What's that? A floating poop with green things in it? Yes. Yes, it is. The dynamic lighting effects are relatively well done, such as when Ty has the flamerangs equipped. It creates a neat orange glow and shadow effect on him, like when he spins them around during his idle animation. Pretty impressive for 2002. But when you equip the Freezy ranks...
Oh God! Oh, what happened to Ty? Oh, he looks like a frozen corpse that just got pulled out of a morgue.
Dead man on the arm! Dead man! I'm trying to get it off. I'm trying to get it off. That shit is nasty. Get him off!
You know, come to think of it, with Ty's constant use of catchphrases and one-liners, he reminds me of someone.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
A weird addition they added to the game happens when you look at the sun. The bright red lens flare effect they use is too distracting. One of the biggest issues I had with the remastered edition that I never remember happening in the original was that some of the textures would make collectible items disappear. For instance, there was this one moment where I was looking for the invisible boxes with the techno rings, and I couldn't find the last box because it was behind the waterfall. I only found it when I was walking away because I checked one more time and noticed a weird shape that was being obstructed by the waterfall texture. Overall sound quality remains exactly the same as the original release, with no new additions to the remaster, which is fine, but none of the songs were very memorable in the game, except for this one catchy track, Outback Safari. The sounds of boomerangs hitting enemies, however, is always pretty satisfying. The dialogue is also relatively bare bones, mostly spoken hints or exposition. However, sometimes the self-aware dialogue is pretty funny.
Listen, mate, I solved your problem. I found you a second boomerang. That's great. Where is it? See that tree over there? Yeah? Well, it's not there.
The gameplay is a collectathon at best, with an array of different boomerangs to take care of bad guys and to find secrets. But you'll come to find out that you really only need 2 different kinds, as every enemy is basically taken out the same way, with the exception of bosses. For instance, here's a frill. Boomerang, done. Kangaroo, 2 boomerangs, done. Lizard with a shield, bite the shield away, boomerang, done. Some enemies can only be taken out with a bite, some with a flamerang, but other than that there's no real variety. The whole game is finding thunder eggs, which are basically superstars, to progress and unlock new ranks. You can find golden cogs to unlock newer ranks, but that's completely optional unless you want to go for the full 100% completion, like I did. Those boomerangs are pretty nifty though, like the Kaboomerang, the Megarang, and the cool looking but ultimately useless Chronorang. Oh, also, the Steam page straight up lies. It says there are 17 levels to play. Where? There are 3 locations all inside the same hub world with 3 levels and 1 boss fight each. So that's 12. Then you have the final world with a level inside of a level, so it doesn't really count to call that 2 separate levels, but if you did, that would still be 14. And then you have 2 secret levels, which are exactly the same level, just with day and night transitions. And then you have the hub world, Rainbow Cliffs, which would equal 17, but the hub world is not a level. It's a hub. So, 13 levels in total, not 17. It's like when a mall says that they have an extensive food court, but it's just a Sparrows, a frozen yogurt stand, and a Starbucks, just across the way from another Starbucks. As I mentioned earlier, there are 3 areas in the hub world with 3 levels each, which include 3 rainforests, 2 beaches, and 2 snow levels, along with 1 great desert level where you're riding on the back of an angry boar that looks like the American cousin to the boars in Princess Mononoke. Once you hit the 3rd hub section, the thunder egg collecting gets a bit repetitive as there's not much variety to the challenges. If each area had some kind of elemental theme or environment to maneuver, such as once you get the flamerangs, they bring you to ice-focused locations such as the mountainsides, otherwise known as the Snowies in the Australian Alps. And then they introduced the desert outback, bushfires, and one of Australia's many volcanoes for the Freezy Rangs. Then they could have added a 4th level where you're closing in on Boss Cass's factory, with each level being in some kind of mechanical type environment where you have to use your Zappy ranks to activate generators, or disrupt laser traps, or overload robotic frills. That would have been such a nice inclusion and a proper finale to the game, as the current finale is a rushed and jumbled mess. But let's say you're not going for the 100%, and you're just playing to progress through the story, which mitigates a lot of these issues. How then does it hold up?
Years ago, a great battle was fought over the fate of 5
As I said in the
mystic
beginning,
talismans.
the story is like watching a Saturday morning cartoon. It brings back the good feelings of waking up early on a weekend to watch your favorite show or to play your favorite childhood game.
I also need to make mention of this sound effect in the first FMV. Eh? I told you it's in a lot of games.
The game introduces Ty, his full name, Tyrone Tiberius Thylacine. No, I am not even kidding.
Tiberius, you kidding me? No, that's the worst.
He's a Tasmanian tiger who's been adopted by bilbies. You find out that an evil cassowary, because of course cassowaries are evil, there's a reason they're in the Guinness World Record as the most dangerous bird, Boss Cass. Boss Cass has sent your family to a place called The Dreaming using the power of 5 mystic talismans. I like to think of The Dreaming as the sunken place from Get Out. It makes saving them feel more heroic. The 5 talismans get scattered and you need to find them all to save your family. A friendly koala named Julius builds a machine which sniffs them out. The story is only really progressed by completing each boss stage, but you do meet some interesting characters along the way, like Ty's romantic interest, Shaza the dingo, Park Ranger Ken the Tasmanian devil, Dennis the green tree frog, and Rex and Ellie the platypi. None of these characters actually push the story along though, except for Shaza. The first boss is Bull, a giant boar that you goad into running into giant anthills. And yeah, I did do some research. They really do have giant anthills like that in Australia. Australia, why are you so scary? I mean, just listen to his scream when he runs into them. God, that was nightmare fuel for younger me. Second boss is Crikey, a cybernetic shark that you trick into biting oxygen tanks that you blow up with your flamerangs.
Smile, you son of a...
It's a clever way to bring tactics and different ranks into defeating a boss. The third boss is Sly, a Tasmanian tiger who also uses boomerangs. I wonder if we're related. And you just run around in circles to try to hit him before he hits you. To be honest, this guy was the coolest to me when I was younger. The fourth boss is Fluffy. I don't really remember having any difficulty with this boss when I was younger, but she is a little annoying to battle. In fact, during my review playthrough, she was the first boss I actually died once on. She's another really interesting boss that you need to use different ranks to defeat. Burn off all the fur with your flame ranks to reveal a robot underneath, then supercharge them with burners scattered around the map, superheat the robot to melt into the ice, then you use your frosty ranks to freeze the robot in place. Frosty ranks, freezy ranks, I forget, something with ice. This is also the moment when the game starts to lose focus. Everything feels extremely rushed at this point, as if they were trying to meet a deadline and forgot they were making a decent game, much like the Wachowskis did for the second and third Matrix films. Once you beat this boss, you go back to Julius to get your last elemental rang, which should be the coolest one, the Zappy rang. But you literally only use it one time to power a generator and never again. As I said earlier, there should have been a fourth hub area, and I think that was the intention because at this point you only have 3 out of 5 talismans. You get the last 2 in the final level, 5 minutes apart. A bat named Shadow kidnaps Shaza, and you need to hit 3 different switches till she's defeated and you get a talisman. Then you meet Sly and absolutely wreck him in a cutscene, save him, then you're off to fight Cass, the final boss, who is literally nothing more than a couple of turrets you freeze and bite, then open up a side grate and burn the wires. Gee, electrical wires? Wouldn't it be smart to overload them with energy from my Zappy ring? Nope, just burn them. Sly shows up again and surprise, he's your brother, as if we didn't already figure that out. He gives you his Doomerang, which you think would be the beginning of an epic showdown, right? No. Sorry. Instead, it's just like a remote control Batarang from the Batman Arkham games. Like, literally the same thing. And you have to control it through these winding tunnels, which actually seems kind of cool at first, but it goes on for way longer than it needs to. Oh, and if you crash, just do it again. Finally, you crack Cass in the ass, get the talisman, open the dreaming, and save your whole family. Mom, Dad... Wait, where's the rest of them? No, I swear to God, there were more tigers in the intro FMV. Yeah, see? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. What happened to them? Hello? Anyone? Oh, freeze frame. Yeah, that's what this game needed. Do you see what I mean about this section being rushed? This is where I feel the developers missed their opportunity to rectify this with the re-release. They could have added more levels to give players more incentive to come back and revisit this game. They did the same thing with Doom and Doom 64. Well, I really gotta stop talking about those games.
So, is this game worth repurchasing on PS4 for, let's see here, $40.95? Are you kidding me? Hell no! Chrome, what are you thinking? As much as I love this game 18 years later, this is not worth this price. All they did was add a little bit of polish to the game. They didn't add anything new. There's no new ranks, no new levels, nothing. Even at $20, I feel would be a little too overpriced. On the Steam store, each Ty game is only $15. And as much as I love the series, I still had to wait till they were on sale for $5 each before I finally purchased it. But if I spent $40 on one Ty game instead of $45 for all three, I would feel completely ripped off. If they added a new soundtrack and they gave you an option to switch between classic and new, I mean, maybe they can turn the price up a little bit, but not this much. That's ridiculous. Going Italian, yes. That's ridiculous! Overall, I give Ty Remastered 3 useless zappy rangs out of 5. Overall, it is still a pretty mediocre game, but it is relatively entertaining. There are some old reviews that compared this game to Crash Bandicoot back in the day, which I feel is a bit of an unfair comparison. Other reviews compared it to Super Mario 64, which I can kind of see with the whole Thunder Egg Superstar collecting, but it's still pretty far off. I feel like this is more akin to a very skim version of Banjo-Kazooie or like a Diet Donkey Kong 64. Diet DK. As for games I would let my son play, I would say absolutely. He wouldn't be interested in the endless item collecting, but instead exploring and taking out enemies with the boomerangs and then getting easily rewarded for it. I think this game is a great starting point for him and for kids his age. As for a nostalgia game, I would say, yeah, my nostalgia goggles were on pretty tight, but it didn't take long before I took them off and saw how badly this game has really aged. I do still want the Ty franchise to continue. I'd love to see a remake or even Ty 5, but first I want Chrome to know what they did wrong, because at this point it looks like they still haven't. Because after this game, the Ty games kind of started a downhill trend, and it looks like they still haven't recovered from it. But we'll find out more about that in the future. In conclusion, this game was a nice trip down memory lane, but if Chrome really wants to make a comeback, they're going to have to do it with skill, hardships, and creativity, and not overpriced remasters. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, leave a comment down below for games you'd like to see reviewed and revisited, and subscribe and ring that bell if you'd like to be notified. And if you like the theme song, don't forget to check out Ellie's channel in the description for some amazing covers. I'll see you guys on the other side. Bye bye!
You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. You got troubles, I got him too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do.